For most, we are headed into the final weekend of fantasy baseball. And I've got 10 names that you need to add to your fantasy baseball team, including Trey Yesavage, who has been called up by the Toronto Blue Jays and looked great in his debut, and Sal Stewart, who has been on an absolute tear for those Cincinnati Reds. Those names and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino, riding solo today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe to the channel and give you notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, once again, please make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And listen, what's really going to be most important to you guys and Matt and I, join us on the Insider's Track. Listen, I know it's the end of the season, but if you are in that final stretch and you have any questions that you need to get your team over the top, you can ask us on the Insider's Track, and we have a lot of fun stuff, including giveaways and more coming up this offseason. So join us on the Insider's Track. The link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And this episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Enough with those boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Go to 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. And all right, guys, let's get into it. We're there. We are down in the stretch of it. I know most of us are, playing in the end of, the season here, potentially the last week, I think, for most. Some, leagues do go to the end of the season. So, potentially 2 weeks for, some people. But let's get into it. Let's get some names that we can add to our team to help us win those fantasy baseball championships. And let's start first with Trey Yesavage of the Toronto Blue Jays starting pitcher. Forgive me if I am butchering his last name. He just got called up. Somebody that I know who he is, but I'm just not super familiar with the pronunciation of the last name. So we'll go with Big Trey right now from Toronto because he's a big boy at 6'4", 225. The kid's got a great fastball, slider, splitter combo, and he has been really, really good down in the minors this season. So let's talk about those numbers down in the minors, and then we'll get into what he did in his debut. So Trey Yesavage in his debut, not in his debut, in his season down in the minors, 98 innings pitched. That was through 22 starts, but 25 games overall. A 3.12 ERA, 5 wins, 1 loss. In those 98 innings, he had 160 strikeouts. Batters hit 158 against him, and he had an 0.97 whip. And then in his debut, he looked really, really good. He pitched 5 innings, had 9 strikeouts, only gave up 2 walks, 3 hits, and, had a 1 whip. So Big Trey here in his debut looked really good, and that was all done against against Tampa Bay. And that was in Tampa. It looks like if he does, stay in the rotation, which I don't see why Toronto wouldn't want him out there, he's going to pitch against Kansas City this weekend. And, Kansas City is a team you can go out there and you can pitch against them if you get around Bobby Witt and the Pasquatch. Not too much else to, worry about over there. Well, you got Salvi on any given night, and their rookie catcher, I forget what his name is too. He's been really, really good. Oh, not really good. He had a 2-home-run game the other day over there. So, there's a couple bats over there. But overall, Kansas City 3-7 in their last 10. So I think Trey Yesavage could go out there and get it done, this weekend. So definitely somebody at 15% owned that you can go out there and he could potentially have a big start this weekend. And then let's see if we go into next weekend, potentially that last start of the season, if he does get another one. Maybe Tampa Bay again if he does start again, at that end of the last week of the season. So once again, Trey Yesavage, and then he was the 26th prospect overall in all of baseball according to MLB.com. If I did not mention that prior, definitely something that's noteworthy as well. Very, very highly touted prospect here. So, but let's keep it pushing to another, prospect that he actually got the call a couple weeks back. Brandon Sproat. He's been really good so far, for those New York Mets, kind of doing what we thought, Jonah Tong would be doing, right? But Brandon Sproat has been really good so far. For those New York Mets in his first 2 starts. And, he's got a nice matchup coming up at the end of the week against the Nationals. That's going to be on Friday. But let's talk about how good Sproat's been through his, first 2. 6 innings at Cincinnati in his first one, 7 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, a 1.17 whip. And then he pitched against those Texas Rangers on September 13th. That was at home in New York. He went 6 innings, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs, and a 1 whip. Sproat is 22% owned on Yahoo. I would go out there and snag him. It's a nice matchup against the Nationals. The Nationals, listen, on any given night, they could go out there and hit you. But overall, they've been a really bad baseball team this year. 62 wins on the season, 90 losses, 4-6 in their last 10. So I think that's a manageable matchup for, Brandon Sproat, even as a young rookie pitcher here. Overall, through the 2 starts, I gave you the numbers individually, but combined, it's 2 starts. Still searching for that first win, 2.25 ERA, 1.08 whip, 12 innings, 10 strikeouts. And Sproat has had his ups and downs in the minors. He was a top 100 prospect last year. He, fell out at some point between then and I think early this season. He kind of, was knocked out, but he was the Mets' number 5 overall prospect. Had a good season in 2024 in the minors. The 3.40 ERA, 116 innings, 131 strikeouts. Batters hit 210 against him, 1-1, 1 whip. Took a step back in the minors this year with an over 4 ERA, 1.24 whip. Batters did only hit 218 against him, and he was still over. Well, no, he actually fell under a K per 9 with 121 innings, 113 strikeouts. Sproat did, but still, he has good stuff. Good prospect pedigree overall. Still, even though fell out of that top 100, he's got really known for his changeup, has a decent, pretty good fastball, nice slider, and he can really get it done. That's the whole thing. When he's going right, that fastball does get up to 98. At times it has good movement, so it is a pretty good fastball. But like I said, in the minors, the batters did take advantage of it. They were hitting a 380, off his fastball alone at one point. So, he would work in that sinker at times, and that changeup, like I talked about, was really, was helping get the separation. I like Sproat, and I just think that he, even just down the stretch here, good start this week, this going into the weekend, and then let's see who he would get next week in the final week, because that will be useful. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the Cubs. So that's not looking great. But you know what? I think Kyle Tucker's still on the IL, so it might be a little bit better than you would think. But before we move on and we talk about a couple of more starting pitchers in Parker Messick and Jameson Taillon, and then we got bats, man. I'm really excited to talk about what Sal Stewart's been doing. And if you listen to Matt and I and you stashed him, you're looking pretty good right now. But those names and more coming up next. And all right, guys, I need to talk to you guys about my friends over at 5 Hour Energy, right? Listen, when it comes to 5 Hour, because caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love is how portable they are, big taste in a tiny shot, and you can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it most. I always reach for my favorite flavor, which is grape, because, it's refreshing. It gives me that quick lift before a busy day. And listen, I've even been eyeing that new limited holiday flavor, pumpkin spice. It just looks absolutely delicious, and it's going to be that next perfect one to try for me. Honestly, I love how fast it kicks in and it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with those boring, flavorless caffeine shots. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. And all right, guys, I talked a little about it earlier. I'm going to mention it again now. Join Matt and I on the Insider's Track, right? Fantasy football is going on, and, you kind of lose touch with baseball a little bit. And, whether you're in your championship week right now or next week, or you just love talking baseball, Matt and I are there year-round on the Insider's Track to talk baseball with you. And, I said as we go into the offseason, we're going to do some giveaways. We're going to have a lot of fun Dynasty Keeper talk on the Insider's Track. And also, it just keeps you in that fantasy baseball mindset because it's text messaging alerts going right to your phone that you don't even have to go into any apps or tap anything. It's going right to you when we put out a new post or update or answer a message that you sent us. You don't have to go digging for alerts or updates. It goes right to your phone through a text messaging alert. And it's just so much easier. You're not getting that kind of attention anywhere else in the industry, and it keeps you locked in during that football season. So when baseball season rolls back around next year, you already have more knowledge than everybody in your league. So join Matt and I on the Insider's Track. The link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. Guys, join us on there today. I hope to see you there soon. But let's keep things pushing. Championship week. We need names to add, and I got you covered. Let's do Parker Messick next. He's been really good. It's just something about the way that Cleveland develops pitching, man. They've been doing it for a long time. I think back to names like Corey Kluber, and guys like that who Cleveland just, wound up doing a really good job with. And it's gone on to guys like this, like Parker Messick. We talked about Joey Cantillo last week, who also is a nice sneaky ad. If you're listening, he's another great ad for this week. I think they both pitch actually on September 20th, which is Saturday. It's a doubleheader against the Minnesota Twins, which Minnesota Twins don't really have a lot of good bats over there right now, so it's a good team to go out there and pitch against. Messick has been good in 4 out of his 5 starts here in the bigs. The control needs a little bit of work, but still getting good results. Messick in his last one against the White Sox went 6 innings, got the win. 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run, and had a 1.33 whip. He literally had the same exact results in the start before that against Tampa Bay on September 7th. And like I said, Messick has that great matchup on the 20th on Saturday at Minnesota. On the season, it's been 5 starts overall for Messick, 3 wins, a 1.84 ERA, a 1.33 whip, 29 innings pitched, and 22 strikeouts. Listen, Messick is only 32% owned on Yahoo. He's actually been dropped in a bunch of leagues over the last 7 days. He's down, 10%. So I'd go out there and snag him. Now. Really like the outlooks on the young Parker Messick here for the end of the season. And then let's do what we did with the other guys, and let's see who Messick would get next week, if you do play next week, because I don't want to forget everyone that's going to the final week. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Detroit, maybe Texas. I would love him to get Texas rather than Detroit, but Detroit has been, not as good of late as they were earlier in the year, so it's not a super tough matchup either way. Just like I said, Messick has been good, down the stretch here, has good results in the minors. He was the number 12 overall prospect for, Cleveland. And on the season, like I said, getting just solid results. The underlying stuff likes him a bit. He's, not getting hit too hard. He gets a lot of ground balls. I wish he would get more chases and whiffs. But you know what? Overall, you'll take the results from Messick. Even though the pitches individually, as I deep dive this here, have been getting knocked around a bit overall. But he did have one really bad start, and I think that kind of skews things out of the 5, where it was only 3.2 innings against Boston. I think he had about 5 earned in that one, or 4 earned in that one, had a 3 whip. And, the control in the last 2 hasn't been great either. So I still think it's a good start against Minnesota. Maybe we temper it back if that start does come against Detroit next week, but it's at least a great option to get Messick out there, heading into, the weekend. Let's move on. Let's talk about another guy who I think might be a little bit more on the risky side, deep league type of play, and it's Jameson Taillon, starting pitcher for those Chicago Cubs. It's just more of the matchup, but he's been really good. Well, not really good, but he's been good overall this season. So Taillon gets, once again, he's pitching on September 20th, Saturday, at Cincinnati. So overall, I like the matchup. It's just that park is tough. The Cubs have been really good of late. They've been really good this season overall, 7-3 in their last 10. So I like what Taillon brings to the table. Cincinnati's 5-5 in their last 10, and they're 500 on the season at 76-76. So it's kind of an any given Sunday thing here with Cincinnati. Football season, you might as well make the football reference, right? So Taillon on the year, 21 starts, 10 wins, a 3.93 ERA, a 1.09 WHIP, 116 innings, 86 strikeouts. He was good in this last one against Pittsburgh. He went 6 innings, got the win, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs, an 0.67 WHIP. Out of his last 5 starts, only 1 bad outing for Taillon. So, good results here of late. 38% owned for Jameson Taillon. We just know who he is at this point in his career. So I'm not going to add too much more on this one. But let's move on to the one closer of today's episode. Keegan Akin of those Baltimore Ravens. He's been closing, of late. He's got, the 2 saves in the last couple of days here against the White Sox. He has 4 wins on the season, a 3.20 ERA, a 1.37 WHIP, 59 innings, 56 strikeouts, and Akin is only 10% owned on Yahoo. He has, since August 24th, Akin has 5 saves. So he's been shutting it down for the Orioles. I'd go out there and snag him, 10% owned on Yahoo. I know they want to play spoiler they get the Yankees, my Yankees in this next series coming up for them, and then after that it's all divisional. It's the Yankees, Tampa Bay, and then the Yankees again. Guarantee it, Keegan Akin is going to get some saves. Guarantee it. So I'd go out there and snag him. Not really too much else to say. He's not that K per 9 guy. He's going to limit the runs. The whip has been pretty bad, this year for Akin to 1.37. But you know what? Got to get those saves, right? Especially in categories leagues. Let's move into bats. Let's do one bat, before we take a quick break. Let's talk Sal Stewart, man. Listen, he's been really, really good. Matt and I told you to stash him. He's been on a lot of stash episodes this year for us. First, second, and third eligibility on Yahoo. Plays in that great park in Cincinnati. Good lineup to hit in, especially for fantasy purposes. He's been hitting all over that lineup. Hasn't played every single day consistently, but Sal Stewart's played in the Reds' last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. And in those last 5, he's got 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 5 runs. He's been on a tear. He had 2 3-hit games in that stretch. So, listen, Sal Stewart's a great ad right now. Through his 12 games played on the year, it's a 275 batting average, 8 runs, 4 homers, 6 RBIs. He's a big power guy. Sal Stewart's a big power guy, and I think he profiles out as like a 270-ish hitter with a lot of pop and good runs and RBI potential. He's not much of a steals guy, so I wouldn't be counting on him for any of that, but Sal Stewart's only 26% owned on Yahoo. So he's definitely somebody you're going to want to look into picking up. I believe he was a top 40 prospect. I'm going to check according to MLB.com if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was 31st, the 31st prospect in all of baseball. Stewart's 6'1", 224, as I mentioned. He's actually more known for his hit tool, as I stand corrected here. Than his power stroke, but I know he could hit tanks. He had 20 home runs in the minors in 118 games. So he might even profile more as like a 280-ish kind of guy with pop. Maybe that Austin Riley kind of profile is who I think of when I think of like a guy who's not going to steal too many bags, but hit for a decent batting average, give you 30-plus bombs and, good runs and RBIs in this team. Really like Sal Stewart's profile, especially heading into next year. Not sure what the eligibility is going to look like on Yahoo because I know it is first, second, and third right now. But at 21 years old for Sal Stewart, has a pretty, good ceiling here. And I think the floor is pretty nice as well. So, high ceiling, but a sturdy floor. I don't think it's like a super low floor as well. So pick up Sal Stewart now. I honestly think I would say he's the best bat, that we're going to, potentially talk about today. There's a couple guys that get close and rival him. So if Stewart's, not out there in your league, don't worry. I still got you covered. Got names like Moniak and more coming up next. And all right, guys, I need to talk to you about my friends over at Monarch Money. Because listen, when it comes to, Monarch Money, they're always there for you. And most people can't name, all their financial accounts or even, what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, proprietaries, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in, right? It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface. On your laptop or your phone, Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, just making it really easy and simple. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see the data really clearly, and get smart categorization of your spending. You're finally going to feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify, that you aren't saving as much as you thought, and then Monarch's going to help you notice, your inefficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. Once again, that's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with my code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, guys, let's jump back into it, and let's talk about Mickey Moniak. I'm so happy to see that, the resurgence of Mickey Moniak that I wasn't sure we'd, ever see. People might not remember. Mickey Moniak was drafted by the Phillies number 1 overall back in 2016. So it's just great to see, Mickey Moniak, still actually only 27 years old, finally, stringing together, I wish it was 2 good seasons in a row. I was thinking back to 2023 where Mickey Moniak had a really good season, struggled in 2024. But another resurgent nice season here in 2025 for, Mickey Moniak. On the season, it's 127 games played, 404 at-bats, 57 runs, 17 doubles, 8 triples, 22 homers, 65 RBIs, 9 steals, 270 batting average. Man, you'll love to see it from the former number 1 overall pick, right? Moniak's in Colorado now, playing for those Rockies, if you didn't know, and he's just been on another level of late, especially his last 2 games have been monsters. On September 16th, Moniak went 2 for 5 with a homer, 3 RBIs. On September 14th, Moniak went 4 for 4. Like we're at Wendy's over here. They got the 4 for 4 deal going on with 2 runs, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and 2 steals. We're calling that. We're going to call, even though it's 2 home runs and 2 steals, we're going to double that. We're going to call that a 4 for 4, right? I don't know if I've ever seen that before. So, a 4 for 4 day with 2 homers, 2 steals. Mickey Moniak went crazy with that Wendy's. Got the 4 for 4 going on. He gets more games and cores coming up over here. The next 2 series, he's in goal to finish up the next series here. Be a same day ad actually. If you're listening on Thursday, to get that game in this Miami series in. But after that, they're home against the Angels for 3, then the rest of the season's on the road. So even if you just want to add Mickey Moniak for those 3 games against the Angels, in cores, then drop him, that is more than fine this time of year. But I just always love to get me some Mickey Moniak talk in where you can, just because he's having a good year. He's been hitting second and third in this Rockies, lineup of late. And honestly, I just really hope he gets a fair shake next year. And if he's playing in Colorado again, I don't know if he's under contract. That's something I think I could see real quick. No, so just he had a 1-year deal here in Colorado. I hope he re-signs. It'd be dope if Mickey Moniak could re-sign there in Colorado and he has a job and could just play every day. It'd be really dope. I think he could put up good numbers and be a nice sneaky pick in fantasy baseball drafts in 2026. But let's move on. Let's talk about Moises Ballesteros of the Chicago Cubs. Listen, he is, back out there. Actually only 11 games played on the year. Got the call not too long ago from, the Cubs. And he's been good. He's been pretty solid there, through his first 11 games played on the season. And, through since September 12th when he's been back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 games. He has 2 homers, 4 runs, 3 RBIs. Hitting really well over that stretch here. I'll give you that exact batting average in a second. It's 389. He's been great. Eligible at catcher. Good prospect pedigree here. Even on the season, it's a 308 batting average through the 11 games. And I'm trying to see where he was in the top 100. I forget where he wound up settling in this season. 51. He was the 51st prospect in baseball overall. Really good hit tool. He's slow, so we're not expecting any steals from him, but I think he's a guy that could hit 270-ish with some pop. In the minors this year, 13 home runs in 114 games. Last year it was 19 home runs in 124 games. But like I said, he's more known for that hit tool than anything else. Powers, I think something 20-ish home runs, maybe could grow into a little bit more, as he gets older, a little bit bigger, stronger, but only 4% owned on Yahoo. So if Ballesteros is out there, you're in a 2-catcher league, in NL only, I would say 12-man catchers are so deep right now, you might not need them. But at 15, I could potentially see that there as well. So Moises Ballesteros, somebody that, you could pick up that has that prospect pedigree and plays for a really good team. Let's move on. Another catcher here. Let's talk about Dillon Dingler. He's been solid of late for, those Detroit Tigers, and honestly, just having a quietly really good season. 117 games played for Dillon Dingler, 280 batting average, 50 runs, 13 RBIs, 50 runs, 13 home runs, 57 RBIs. And he's been, just been swinging that hot bat of late over his last 7 days. Dingler is hitting 346 with a homer, 4 RBIs. He's been hitting 6th in this Detroit lineup. I know I said they haven't been as good of late, but still that's a good lineup, to be hitting at that, spot. And, on any given night, he could be driving in some runs. And so, a guy like this, once again, I'd rank him below Ballesteros just because of the prospect pedigree. 15 mans, and this is, the opposite. Your AL only guys, could go out there and snag him there. Just down the stretch, he's been playing, and, over Detroit's last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Dingler's only missed 1. And on September 11th, he went 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs. And on September 10th, he went 3 for 5 with 2 runs. So swinging that hot bat, only 15% owned on Yahoo. Go out there and pick up Dillon Dingler. Let's move on to the last guy of today's episode, and it is Caleb Durbin of those Milwaukee Brewers. Right now, Durbin has second, third, and shortstop eligibility on Yahoo. On the season, he has 58 runs with 11 homers, 50 RBI, 16 steals, 264 batting average. Does a little bit of both. Durbin does, but over the last 7 days, Durbin is actually 9 for 18, which is good for a 500 batting average, with 6 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, and a steal. So like I said, a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, does a little bit of everything. That Milwaukee Brewers team is really, really good right now. And Durbin's last 3 games have been all multi-hit games. He homered on September 14th, had a steal in a 2-for-4 game on September 16th. Just been really, really good down the stretch here. 22% owned on Yahoo. But guys, that's where I'm calling it for the day. I wish all of you luck. I don't think I'm going to see you guys until next week at this point. I think Matt's going to be doing an episode by himself tomorrow. So I wish all of you guys luck. I hope I hear about some Locked On Fantasy Baseball championships coming through this week. And, next week, we're still going to be here for you guys. We're still going to be here for you guys next week with must-add players, must-drop players. We're going to be doing some 2026 coverage moving on. And then, our off-season schedule should be looking like team reviews for a little bit and stuff like that. So just make sure you stay locked on. And listen, if you want more fantasy baseball, you just can't get enough. You're a fanatic like Matt and myself. You're going to want to join us on the Insiders track. Link is in the bio of listening and watching. But thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen. Today, for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. But guys, until next time, see ya.